I know. That's why I remind people. So I will convene the regular meeting of the Oregon City Commission for Wednesday, January 18th, 2017. It is 7 o'clock. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Ide?
Here.
Commissioner Shaw?
Here.
Commissioner O'Donnell?
Here.
Commissioner Mengelberg?
Here.
Mayor Holliday?
Here. Please stand and join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So, before I get to ceremonies and proclamations, I have one thing I would like to say. I don't know how many of you were here in 2008 during the Snowmageddon event in December. We had a couple of weeks. I know that during that time, I actually called the Public Works Director and complained because the ruts on Molalla Avenue were 3, 4, 5 inches tall, and they never seemed to get cleared. So I wanted to say thank you to Martin Montalvo, John Lewis, and the entire Public Works team for the exceptional work they did during this event. I don't know how many people got to go to other cities other than Oregon City, but I know that even my friend Terry Boyd, who has a radio show, commented several times about how he could get out in Oregon City, but as soon as he got to the freeway or as soon as he got to Clackamas or whatever, that the roads were horrible again. So I just wanted to give a shout out and an extreme thank you for all the hard work, dedication that you guys did and our Public Works team. So thank you.
You will pass it along.
So under ceremonies, I'm missing one. I don't have the proclamation. Oh, that, she says. Thank you. So under ceremonies and proclamations, we have a proclamation. It's 17-051, recognizing 5 Stars International for 26 years of contract elevator staffing services. Mr. Lewis, do you have anything?
No, other than we've got 2 folks here to represent the elevator service. We were hoping for a few more, but we've got 2 very, Lynn Frank and Sandy Llewellyn is here. And so
I guess there's one more.
We've got
Did you
one
say
more.
3?
Oh, we've got one more in the back there. So, yeah. So move forward. We ordered special cookies for the event. So they're the same cookies we served at the last celebration that we had at the elevator. So wanted to share those with the group.
I was
as well.
just checking to make sure that they came from a normal cookie shop, right?
Came from a normal cookie shop. I definitely didn't bake them myself.
Okay, so here it goes. Whereas Oregon City's natural geography consists of a first level along the Willamette River and a sheer bluff rising approximately 90 feet above Railroad Avenue, necessitating the need for a 215-step stairway up the side of the bluff. And whereas the bluff stairway became cumbersome for pedestrians and resulted in the construction of the first Oregon City municipal elevator, which went into service in 1915 and was subsequently replaced in 1955 with its current structure. And whereas the Oregon City Municipal Elevator is a regional landmark and is one of only 4 municipal elevators in the world, additionally, its vertical route is identified as Elevator Street, making it the only vertical street in North America. And whereas, since the first elevator opened in 1915, the elevator has been staffed by an elevator operator and rides have remained free of charge. Whereas, the elevator was staffed by city employees until 1991, and whereas in 1991, 5 Stars International submitted its first bid to staff the elevator and have provided staffing services for the Oregon City Municipal Elevator 7 days a week since 1991. And whereas since 5 Stars began staffing the elevator, ridership totals were 150,385 riders in 92, went to a low of 84,034 riders in 2001, and served a high of 227,762 riders in 2015. And whereas the 5 Stars team has been led by Lynn Frank, 5 Stars president, Sandy Llewellyn, staffing services manager, and a city employee from 1985 through 1991, 15-year guide Carol Pimentel, 9-year guides Lori Adkins and Steve Brenner, along with many other professional elevator guides throughout the years. And whereas the elevator guides at 5 stars have provided invaluable services, including providing over 25 years of service to 3,921,610 riders. Well, that's a lot. Personal greetings with a smile, ensuring the safety of the elevator's riders, elevator concierge services, social service assistance, general care and cleaning, and providing a presence which has deterred vandalism. And whereas after 25 years of service, 5 stars is stepping away as the city's contract operator of the elevator, providing the opportunity for new staffing services to take over the operation of the elevator. Now, therefore, I, Dan Holliday, Mayor of Oregon City, do proclaim January 18th, 2017 as Oregon City Municipal Elevator Operator Extraordinaire Day, and urge all citizens to visit the Oregon City Municipal Elevator and acquaint themselves with the elevator operators and to continue supporting the full-time staffing of the Oregon City Municipal Elevator. In witness hereof, I have hereunto set my hand this 18th day of January 2017. There we go.
We have certificates here for the elevator staff that have your signature on them, so thank you for that.
Sure.
Are they-
Commissioner Shaw?
Do they want to stand or something to be recognized here tonight?
Yeah, could you guys stand up first, please? Would one of you like to say something, or
There we go.
come on up? Just name and city of residence for the record, please.
Sandy Llewellyn, Vancouver, Washington.
A longtime Oregon City resident.
Yes.
And Lynn France, living now in the beautiful high desert in Bend. But I came over today to just to accept the proclamation on behalf of the guides who've served us for so many years. It was an honor for us to receive, be selected to operate the Oregon City Elevator in 1991, and it's been an honor through every cycle since. And it's an honor today to receive that gift. It's an extraordinary city. I must tell you that I've worked with government at many different levels, local, state, and national, and I haven't found any other that has been as wonderful to work with as the city of Oregon City. John Lewis, Martin Mondalvo, and the others, I think, have a compassion and a commitment to service that we have shared and enjoyed throughout. It has been truly a partnership, and I have valued it more than any other relationship we've had with any other public entity. That service would not have been possible without Sandy, who's been here by my side from the beginning. She's extraordinary. She believes so much in the city and the operation of the elevator. She has a bit of a mother's instinct, if you will, about the operation of the elevator and everything that's gone into it. And she means more to me than I could ever put in words. And Sandy, I appreciate all you've done for us.
Thank you.
And all of the guides. As we know, and Martin and I and John have talked, the last few weeks have been challenging, as have other ice storms through the years, but the guides have been there whenever they can to make sure that the elevator is operating and serving the city of Oregon City. And it's been a joy. And thank you so much for all of those years.
Thank you.
I as well would like to thank the Commission for your thoughtfulness in preparing the proclamation for us. I can honestly say through all of these years that this has been an extremely wonderful experience. The amount of education from the public that you receive, the kind of communication that you get to have with people on a daily basis, the kind of wealth of community that builds, being able to do a job like that long term is just beyond words. I feel a lot of gratitude. I feel extremely lucky to have been in that spot. There are spots that maybe pay better. There may be spots that have more prestige, but there are no spots in the city of Oregon City that represents yourself to the city more. And it was just a thrill, and I want to thank you all for giving us that opportunity all these years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so
So
much.
I have just a quick question. Is 5 stars going out of business, or?
No, there comes a time, I think, for all of us, and Sandy and I, particularly Sandy, when she wants to step back and go fly airplanes and do fun things like that. But it's been a joy. And there also comes a time when it's time for the torch to pass. And I think you'll be well served by the Downtown Association and the folks there. They'll be working with you. And again, you've got extraordinary people here to make sure that happens and happens very, very well. But I cannot tell you, again, just how much I valued the relationship with John and Martin and the others. Many public entities are very, shall we say, difficult to work with, and that was never the case with the City of Oregon City, and it's been a joy.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
All right.
So it is now my honor to introduce our new state representative for House District 40, Mr. Mark Meek.
Thank you, sir.
Time's up.
Well, good evening, Mayor Holliday and City Commissioners. Thank you so much for this time to get a chance to speak with you, and City Administrators. I just want to let you know that I'm honored to have been elected to be your new state representative, and that, as you all know, that I work very hard, and you know me in my involvement with the community, with both the chamber, my business, and different aspects of the county. And now in this capacity, I do plan to be a partner with you to make sure that our communities and our region will grow, and that we have the necessary tools, funding, etc., and ideas to make sure that our communities and families have the necessary, education they need, the opportunities they need to be productive and prosperous citizens. And so I know that you guys and this commission and our, your community here, you're very involved, and that you do care about your communities also. So I just want to, make sure I extend and let you know that I am available for you, and both, the commissioners and the mayor and the staff and all of our citizens in the region, and that some of I'm going to be serving on the Transportation Policy Committee, and so I've already been working diligently to learn more about that. And it is our goal to pass a comprehensive transportation package, and that's going to benefit all of us in this whole region and our state for economic development and for just basically a better way of life. And so that is one of my things. I'm also on the Housing and Human Services Committee, and we do know that we have a crisis with both homelessness and also affordable housing. And so I know that it's to be a productive citizen, that most of our folks that are able to invest in their communities, they take a better stake in their community. They care about their schools and parks and streets. And so having the ability to eventually buy their own home and live in their community that they want to raise their family is very important, let alone to have workforce housing so that they can afford to live and work in the communities that they want to work in. So I do plan to be very helpful and vocal with trying to solve some of our issues. But as you know, this is a brain trust, and here at the ground level, that you will have the best exposure and better input for me to help solve some of these issues. So I do hope that you're agreeing or willing to work with me and provide me input and information to help me make some good decisions for our community. Because as your representative, I do not plan to just make unilateral decisions. I want to make great decisions that are going to positively affect our full communities. And then lastly, I will be serving on the Veterans and Emergency Preparedness Committee. And so we all have already, I'm not sure how much time I have.
You're fine. Go ahead.
Okay. I know it's just getting through this snow event. There's businesses in our communities and our schools. We have a lot of decisions to make that we lost school time. We also lost economic development time. And so it'd be my goal to make sure that our businesses and our families are prepared for huge emergency disasters that we are facing potentially. And part of that transportation plan will be to make sure that our bridges and roads are prepared for that type of event, and that also our communities and our property owners and business owners are prepared to make it through and survive a catastrophic event. And so I appreciate your time this evening, and I do hope that you stay in touch. I will stay in touch, and I'll come and visit early and often. And I do plan to have coffees over here at Singer Hill, probably at least once a month, that folks are able to come on weekends, that we can share and talk and kind of check in. So I thank you for your time, and I'll answer any questions if you have any now, but thank you very much.
Anybody questions?
Just congratulations, Mark.
Thank you.
I have a not necessarily a question, but a comment. I assume that if you haven't been contacted by Eric, you will be. Eric Kanzler are the city's lobbyist, so most of the policy information is going to flow through him to you. I know I will certainly be talking with you about a couple of subjects as we move along, and I sincerely wish you luck with the transportation package.
That's my one goal, get that passed. So it'll be hard. It'll be a hard session. But
Well, welcome to House 40. Thank you.
thank you so much. Thank you,
Mark.
so much.
Congratulations.
So moving on, 17-058, the Willamette Falls locks update, and who's got this? I guess it'll be Sandy Carter and Mayor Russ Axelrod from West Lynn.
That would be us.
I'm Sandy Carter, and I live in West Lynn.
And I'm Russ Axelrod, the mayor of West Lynn, and I reside in West Lynn. And if I may, before we get going, I want to say that we love your elevator. My family loves the elevator. I wish they did not quite leave yet, but we've had a lot of eventful times in that elevator, and I appreciate that. And I also want to welcome your new commission members this year. Welcome. I know how it is. I just want to thank you all for your public service. I've been mayor now about 2 years and just reelected for a full term for 4 years, and I'm very appreciative of that. As councilor and then mayor, I've been assisting the heritage issues for the area as a member of the Willamette Falls Locks Working Group, as well as a board member of the Willamette Falls Heritage Area Coalition. And I was also appointed by the governor to the Willamette Falls Locks Task Force this past year, along with the great mayor from Oregon City, Dan Holliday. Thank you. Many of you know in my sort of private life I'm a geologist, and I have many years of practical experience on environmental cleanup and restoration projects. You might say I love old things, and I do, but I'm very fond of environmental landscapes and earth processes that create these grand landscapes for us. And I will say that West Lynn hasn't always done the best job of developing its landscapes. And one of the reasons actually I ran for mayor was try and improve on our planning and long-range development that we do in West Lynn, and particularly the whole river corridor along West Lynn and the lower Tualatin, all the way down through the Willamette Falls, below through the locks, and down below the Oregon City Bridge. And as you know, the Willamette Falls locks skirt the Willamette Falls on the West Lynn side of the river directly across from Oregon City, representing a significant historical resource for this unique corridor setting. As you also know, I'm sure, the locks are owned by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and they were shut down in 2011, thereby essentially cutting the Willamette River in two and pretty much eliminating through river traffic through our entire region. The locks are significant not only to West Lynn, but to Oregon City as well, and to all cities along the entire lower Willamette, as well as the broader metro region and the state of Oregon, and nationally, really. The locks provide great opportunities for our cities to expand economic development through renewed commerce and trade, through tourism, and through enhanced recreation. And this will become further realized through Oregon City's Legacy Project, in progress and as it moves forward, and also related corridor improvements that are in progress now in the early planning stages for West Lynn. Working together, our two cities can foster economic development and prosperity for our citizens while promoting our history, culture, and the incredible Willamette Falls locks. I believe actually one of the greatest attributes to restoring the locks will be that it brings people back to the river. Whether it's commerce or tourism or recreation or restored tribal practices, bringing people back to the river expands awareness, which fosters appreciation, which in turn leads to stewardship and better sustainable care of the river and the landscape. The Governor's Task Force recently, under the guidance of Oregon Solutions, I feel did a great job of delineating a path forward for us and all interested stakeholders. In part because the locks are located on the riverbank of West Lynn, West Lynn has agreed to take the lead role representing the city's interests in the decision-making group as was recommended by the Willamette Falls Locks Task Force. And I believe in your package you've got information about their summarizing their work and their recommendations. Many have worked really hard for many years to get where we are today, and perhaps nobody more than Sandy Carter here of One Willamette River Coalition. And I just want to acknowledge her. She's going to mention, I think, a few others who have worked much longer on this problem than I have, certainly. I'd also like to mention, with equal dignity and dedication, our great Congresswoman Darlene Hooley, who couldn't be here with us tonight, but she's definitely here in spirit tonight. The group has secured financial commitments from the state legislature, from the Obama administration, to work with the Corps of Engineers to complete the disposition studies and other analyses that are needed to restore and reopen the locks and to encourage or arrange the likely transfer of ownership and management of the locks through group consensus. It's important that the locks are transferred from the Corps to another entity that makes most sense to ensure that once it is repaired and reopened, the locks continue to be maintained and remain operational in an efficient and cost-effective manner. Over the next couple of months, myself and others working directly on the locks restoration will be visiting each city from Portland, probably all the way down to Kaiser and Salem, about the locks moving forward, and to discuss financial support for the 2 to 3 years to get us through the disposition studies as city representatives. The City of West Lynn is supporting Senate Bill 256, calling for the Willamette Falls Locks Commission, and I want to encourage you, the Oregon City Commission, to support Resolution 17-03 on your agenda tonight, as well as Senate Bill 256. I'd also like to acknowledge and thank Representative Meek, who's here tonight, who is a chief sponsor of the bill, and to all those representatives who are working hard to support the locks moving forward. And on behalf of West Lynn and the rest of the locks team, I just want to thank the City of Oregon City and the Oregon City Commission for your tremendous support on the locks over the years to date, including resolution adopted by your commission back in 2014 to repair and reopen the locks, and for your work and commitment to the Legacy Project in progress. Very commendable. And I look forward to our cities continuing this journey of collaboration and stewardship together on the locks and our unique river setting. So thank you. And Sandy has some comments, and then we can answer questions, and we also have a couple others in the audience who can address questions we can't answer.
Thank you, sir. Sandy?
Mayor and Commissioners, my name is Sandy Carter. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to talk for a minute about the power of partnerships and what has happened on this project. I've been advocating for the locks, as you may know, since 2002. Time flies. And we've had lock fests and flotillas and speeches and press releases, but it's mostly the power of partnerships, the ever-broadening pool of people who have taken an interest in this and kind of woken up to its importance that is making the difference. The locks will take its former place as an important gateway on the Willamette River and as a living tribute to the bustling industrial history of the 1870s here at the Falls. So thanks to our deep partnerships with organizations such as the National Trust for Historic Preservation and the Clackamas County Locks Working Group, last year, under Senate Bill 131, a state legislative task force was formed, which the mayor talked about. And that really did take things to the next level, working in tandem, again, partnership with the County Locks Working Group. The county group received $100,000 from the legislature for a 2017 economic analysis of the potential benefits of having a reopened, repaired, and operating locks, and trying to move it. Excuse me. That study will contribute to the disposition study that the Corps is doing as they try to figure out what they want to do with this property that doesn't meet their metrics anymore. So, and thanks to the Clackamas County Working Group and their partnerships in DC and locally, new language was created and inserted into the WRDA, Water Resources Development Act bill that passed this winter on the federal level. And the language that has been inserted into this act, which only gets renewed about every 7 years or 10, now the Corps of Engineers, when it disposes of properties, must consider some new factors, our factors, when they're determining the economic benefits that this property involves. So state, regional, and local priorities and a much wider definition of economic benefit, including recreation, tourism, and heritage, must now be factored into the disposition process, which we think is going to be a huge plus. So we're very pleased, you know, I could talk for 3 hours, so you have limited time. We're very pleased and proud of this enormous progress that volunteers, businesses, agencies, and nonprofits have all come together and created and brought us to this point. And we can see positive light at the end of the tunnel. I want to say that Oregon City has been right beside us in this LOX Army through Mayors Norris, Neely, and Holiday. Mm-hmm. And for this, we're all very grateful. It has been a long slog, but we can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and we have some really fantastic, dynamic people and really good minds working on this now. And I could probably walk away and it would just happen, and it would be wonderful. So thank you so very much for your continuing support, and of course we support your passage of that resolution tonight, reaffirming your support.
Thank you. And just a comment, because I sat through a year of the Willamette Falls Locks Task Force, and one of the frustrations of people like me, even though I've been doing this government thing in some form or another for over 20 years, is the light at the end of the tunnel is still way, way down there. It looks like a little tiny flashlight, you know, a million miles away, is the time it takes for any of this stuff to happen. And we're probably still 3 or 4 years away from a final disposition study, and then at least, right? Am I wrong?
Go ahead.
Well, I'm hoping we're actually going to be before that. I'm like in the 2 to 3 year is the hope to complete all the disposition study.
You were never in the Army, were you?
Okay, so can I jump in on that?
Please.
Actually, the LOX project was one of 5 national projects where they're going to dispose of properties, and it got funding. It ended up in the top 3. So they're fast tracking the disposition study on the LOX, and we are actually now running to keep up with the military, if you can believe that.
Good.
With the Corps of Engineers. So we're optimistic that, I'll just pull a number out and say, I think the repairs could be happening within 3 years.
Good. Excellent. I have one other question for you, Sandy. If you could, because a lot of people don't really know how much work and time and years and years and years you've put into our community, both on this side of the river and on the Westland side. So could you take a second and just, you know, try to give us an idea of all of the different kinds of things that you've done over the last 20 years or so?
Ooh. Okay, well, yes, thank you very much. Very briefly, you know, the LOX has pretty much consumed me since 2002, but we have found time to work on other projects. So I'm very proud of the work we've done with the Willamette Falls Heritage Foundation in Westland, saving the history of millwork at Crown Zellerback Mill. I had a wonderful oral history project and got to know more about millwork than you could imagine, and published a book and put out 2 full-length movies with that oral history. I really consider that a huge legacy. And half of those folks have passed away since I interviewed them. Then this year we completed something that we're also very proud of, which is the Grindstones Project. And I don't know if you folks saw that in your in the review or not, but we were able to get grindstones donated from our mill in Westland, and we now have a massive, eye-shocking, wonderful piece of public art at the end of the Greenway Trail at Burnett's Landing in Westland, which is in itself a historic site there where the Burnett Company used to run their barges. So, proud of the Locks work. We did art jams at the powerhouses. So we've been taking artists inside of the Sullivan Powerhouse, inside of the Holly Powerhouse before it was decommissioned in 2008. And I know it's a little far field, but inside Bull Run at the request of PGE. And that model of the art jam in powerhouses got adopted by Estacada. And they've done 3 different events up at the old powerhouses and stuff up the Clackamas. So, I think that if you keep stirring the water, make ripples, and it carves away at the beach eventually. But thanks for asking. I've been able to make a little bit of difference, and it's been wonderful.
Well, I want to say that where can you see the 2 movies?
We made sure the books and the movies are all in the reference section at all Clackamas County libraries. And they're also a fundraiser for the foundation. We still sell them.
Well, I know I've seen both of them, and I would encourage folks to go out and check them out, watch them. Maybe we can get Melody to rerun them on WFMC.
It was running up for quite a while.
But it's just a really interesting travel through history of working at the mill and the different kinds of folks that were there, and they talk about their lives and their kids and the things they did, and it's just it's a really exciting body of work, and I would encourage everybody to read the book and to have an opportunity to see those movies. Commissioner Shaw.
Well, this is one of the things I was going to mention at our goal setting too, but developing better relationships with West Linn and Gladstone and stuff. So I'm really glad you guys are here tonight. This is really a good thing, and I think it kind of started when Tony put together the meeting at the library on our Tri-City plant and had Gladstone and West Linn. I thought that was a historic moment there. So I'd like to see more of that happening this year as we go. Tony
Okay.
put that together. We know how this rolls here. So anyway, but really glad to have you here tonight. So the question I had, and for either one of you, is how many different organizations are involved with this locks thing? You mentioned the county and the cities and stuff. How many organizations have you got going on this?
Well, on the county working group alone, we have, well, it's got elected officials, so you have to understand we're at a transition between electeds right now. So we have to keep educating new people, and it's wonderful, isn't it? So,
The cities,
yeah, Oregon City,
Metro,
West Linn, Metro, PGE, Wilsonville Concrete Products,
the mill, Oregon City, the West Linn Paper Mill,
the county, of course.
County.
Okay.
Couldn't do it without the county's
Yeah.
facilitation. It's
Yeah.
been invaluable.
Okay.
State.
The state, we have support from all of our congressionals. We're starting to work now with the Port of Portland and with the governor's office, which was involved in 2005 when we were an Oregon Solutions project the first time. And then the task force became the second time that Oregon Solutions took up the locks, which shows you it's been a long road.
Tribes.
But the tribes,
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
we finished the
Good.
106 project, so we've had tribal commitments. We've had people from Water Resources come to meetings. I have people, well, Jerry Herman is one of our biggest supporters from way back.
Okay.
You can have Oregon Parks and Recreation have been involved.
The SHPO.
Sure, we're gonna
the State
leave out
Historic
someone,
Preservation
but- Oh, yeah.
Office.
Okay.
Quite a number. I mean,
It would
it's,
go on.
it's a
Great.
significant regional engagement.
I mean, we
for
had
sure.
donations from the Columbia River Yachting Association and we had participation from the Marine Board. We've just had really widespread interest.
Well, good. Appreciate it, folks.
So,
Thank you.
one other question, and I'm probably taking my turn, but that's okay. Could the Portland Spirit go through the locks if they were
It has
Done?
a 6-foot draft.
Yeah?
I think the crystal, what's it called? The Crystal Dolphin, I believe, could go through for size. They had to stand off during one Lock Fest and never came through, but they had a whole crowd that wanted to come through. And that's part of the vision. You know, wouldn't you like to take a dinner cruise through the lock someday
Sure.
on the Crystal? So, but yes, the 6-foot draft and the 210 by 40 dimensions of each chamber limit it somewhat.
Sure.
Hopefully, it will spark some construction and boat construction, and
Like it did originally.
for ferry transport. Yeah, absolutely, ferry and other transport.
Well, I know that you mentioned Burnt Landing and Wilson with Concrete Products. That's the same family, just they changed the name. But I know he was on the task force with us and is very interested in being able to reopen those things so that, for one thing, we could get the Canby Ferry down and get it, taken care of every 4 or 5 years that it needs to do. Commissioner O'Donnell?
Well, as the new kid on the block, I'd just like to say that there's nobody that could question that your project is complementary to our project and ours is complementary to yours. And the sum of the parts is greater by putting it together. I think it's representative of the infrastructure that built America. I think I'm glad to hear the criteria has changed to include recreation, tourism, and heritage criteria. And for anyone that's never seen a locking operation, it's fascinating. In those days when we could go up to Bonneville, and I don't know if we still can, to watch that change on one level to another, it's almost inspirational about what American engineers have done. So, I know things move at a glacial pace. And as one that comes from the private sector, I'm going to struggle with that throughout my... But don't give up the ship. Keep plugging. And thank you. That's all I wanted to say.
Anybody else?
Thank you. I struggle with that pace all the time.
So we have two other folks in the audience on this project, Mr. Tugno, formerly of Metro, and Lisa Nato of Lisa Nato and Associates. You guys want to say anything? All right. Well, thanks to everybody for coming. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on. We are down to 17053, mayoral appointments to city boards and commissions. So as of today, I am appointing Dane Johnson and Ray Gordon to the Budget Committee for a 4-year term of January 1st, 2017 to December 31st, 2020. I do want to say that there was another gentleman who originally we had thought we were going to appoint to one of these spots. It turned out that his application came in late, so out of fairness, we went ahead and appointed one of the folks who got their applications in on time. Appointment of Lisa Novak to the Enhancement Grant Program Committee for a 4-year term of January 1st, 2017 to December 31st, 2020. And due to inclement weather, appointments to the Transportation Advisory Committee, Library Board, and Natural Resources Committee will be announced in the next 2 months. City will be re-advertising for openings on the Historic Review Board, Planning Commission, and 3 ad hoc Planning Commission members with design experience to review the Willamette Falls Legacy Project Master Plan area. I would encourage folks with that experience to check the website and contact the city because we really need folks with your experience on that committee. And that is it for appointments. Moving on to citizen comment. Do we have citizens? Oh, there we go. So before we do this, I'm going to say, because I don't do it all the time, citizens are allowed 3 minutes to present information relevant to the city but not listed as an item on the agenda. Prior to speaking, citizens should complete a comment form delivered to the city recorder. The commission does not generally engage in dialogue with those making comments, but may refer the issue to city manager. Complaints shall first be addressed at the department level prior to addressing a city commission. With that, Commissioner Pauley and William Gifford. No, I'm doing this on purpose.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Commission.
Good evening, Commissioner.
All right, okay.
Name and city of residence for the record, please.
Hello. I'm Carol Pauley, and I live in unincorporated Clackamas County, Oak Grove area. Thank you for having me. I was going to give an update on another one of those acronyms, WFHAC, so Willamette Falls Heritage Area Coalition. There are lots of heritage areas and organizations, and this is one of them, and there's a lot of important work that's been being done, so I wanted to give you a quick update on that. So the area is all along the Willamette River down towards Salem, and it's already a state heritage area. It's Oregon's first heritage area. And our goal is to become a national heritage area. And Alice Norris has completed a feasibility study, and she has worked feverishly on that. And it's a great accomplishment. So we're in that process right now. We also have an MOU with the Moot to have a comprehensive exhibit and education exhibit of the area. So that's another example of a great partnership. And I will just give you a few talking points for the Willamette Falls Heritage Area Coalition. There's a whole list, but I'm just going to touch on a few this evening. The Willamette Falls Heritage Area Coalition mission is to advocate for the strengthen the identity and economy of communities around Willamette Falls by preserving, enhancing, and promoting the national significance and distinctive stories of the area while cultivating public-private partnerships to develop its natural, cultural, industrial, scenic, recreational, and historic resources. And there are many. So this organization is trying to pull that all together. Our goal is to become a national heritage area designated by Congress and recognized by the National Park Service. National heritage areas are good for local economies. They have put $12.9 billion into the national economy and created 148,000 jobs. No, Renata would appreciate that. Our communities deserve that benefit. To date, there is no national heritage area in the West, so we want to be another first. Yet the story of the Willamette Falls Heritage Area Coalition is deserving of that recognition. And we have broad public support. The Oregon legislature has issued a joint memorial urging Congress to create a national heritage area in our region because of its important role in American history. So we were off for December, and so we're going to have another meeting this Thursday and continue to do some work and continue to do a map of the whole area, interactive map, online. So that'll be a great way for people to come to that, and tourists and even people that live here locally that want to know more about the area and the heritage.
Can you explain to the folks out there what exactly that means as far as what is the federal designation of a heritage area and kind of how that works?
Okay, good question. There's a lot of things that play into it. You have to have very deep history and culture and significant events that happen to the region. And because it's the end of the Oregon Trail and there's many different settlements that happened up and down the Willamette River and industry, lots of heritage, Native American history. The tribes are involved in this too. So it's really about telling stories, stories of the West and what has defined our area that we live in, the whole region.
I guess the question I was trying to answer is what if we get this heritage area designation, what resources does that bring?
Well, a lot.
What's in it
so
for us?
Exactly.
Well,
it can really pull all of our resources together by having that national designation. So the National Park Service is a great resource. It'd be great for marketing the area and really packaging it. When you're a national heritage area or site, you are listed in a lot of things. Travel magazine, national publications. You have a great reach. It's an honor, really.
Does it come with any money?
Huh?
Does it come with any money?
It can help you get grants for sure. I think it's good leverage.
Okay.
It's good leverage. It's good press. It's good marketing. It's a great honor.
Anybody else questions for Paul? So I have one thing that I'm going to say, and I hope I don't embarrass her, but Commissioner Pauly called me this morning, and she is currently one of the 7?
8.
It's one of the 8 finalists for the county commission slot that opened when Jim Bernard moved to county chair. And so, as we all know, Carol's hard work, dedication, not only to the city, but to now the greater county, I would encourage all of our folks who know any of the current 4 commissioners to call them and lobby on her behalf to be the newest county commissioner. She'll be an excellent county commissioner, not only having city experience, but a wealth of business and small business experience that I think is sorely lacking on the county commission right now. So being a pro-business person, I think should be a great new county commissioner. So anybody who's out there within the reach of my voice, please reach out to those folks and do some lobbying, because that's the way things get done. Commissioner Gifford. Oh, sorry, I promoted you.
Thank
What
you.
just happened?
I just
I don't know, but I'd like to hit rewind.
What just happened?
That's better than the previous one, wasn't it?
It's an amazingly qualified field of people. So I am just honored and thankful to have been considered for it. So thank you for your support.
It started out at 77 people. She's
Yes.
one of she's
If it's
the-
an amazingly qualified
Yeah.
set of people, then you're
77 applied.
a part of
Okay.
that set.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Gifford.
Mr. Mayor and City Commissioners, my name is William Gifford, and I live in Oregon City. I'm going to be making a little presentation after that, but this is not part of that. I wanted to do 2 things. One is that I wanted to echo the mayor's comment about our outstanding Public Works Department. I had the occasion for an appointment that I needed to get to. Really couldn't drive my car on my icy back roads, which don't deserve being cleaned, and I understand why. So I hiked up, got TriMet, great ride down and back. The driver on TriMet couldn't stop talking about how great Oregon City was compared to the other cities on his route. I've said about that. Yeah. I wanted to make a brief announcement about the Oregon City Business Alliance. Next Tuesday, we are having our very own city manager come and talk. The title is Capitalizing on Economic Opportunities in Oregon City. You can find that on our Facebook page of Oregon City Business Alliance. And that's going to be next Tuesday at 11:30 at the Abernathy Chapel. So I'd encourage the public to come and find out about what's going on economically regarding Oregon City. So,
And thank you guys for putting on that series. It's grown quite a bit in the last couple of years, but you guys bring really interesting speakers that have a real nexus with what we do in Oregon City, and I think it's good for the folks that are out there to hear that information.
that's the idea.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, so the reason I did this is because now there's 3 in 1 here. So Mr. Adero, Mr. Gifford, and Mr. Herman. And Jerry, I'll remind you, you have 3 minutes.
I'm not speaking.
Oh, okay.
I'm just passing out your invitations. Well, good evening. My name is Ed Dower. I'm from Wilsonville, and we are actually asking you to join us on a discovery tour. And we did this probably 6 years ago, where we went on to different projects, which we have built, my company. And the real basis is to show that we not only have the qualification to support your property and to create a unique opportunity, is that we have done it before. And whenever you have something which is in fact the precedent, it is hard to beat that, to go take a look at it. So we have 3 projects which are very close in that we would like to take a tour. We have actually done other projects which have the same kind of elements. This is an extraordinary opportunity for us, but it is an amazing challenge. I mean, we have spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, actually several million, preparing this concept and getting it to a point. Obviously, we've had challenges over the time frame with the economy and what's happened generally with the business environment. But we have hung in there. We're willing to commit another $2.5 million to concept this and push it to the next level. And I think that the real thing is, do we have the capacity, and have we done it before? We have, and we do have the capacity, and we'd like to show you those projects which we have done, that we've spent a lot of time on the environment. This is not something which we just fly over. If you've noticed on anything that we publish, is that we have changed the environment. we have made it better. That's been our byword. We've done it on every project, and we've committed substantial resources not only to changing the environment, but to upgrade it, enhance it, and make it right. So we'd really appreciate anybody that would like to look at these different projects, which we have done, to take this tour with us. Hopefully it will not be as long as we're suggesting right now, from a 9 to 3. But we've got 3 projects, and one of them is actually exactly complementary to what we're talking about. It is a old pit. It's out in Beaverton. We will have John Runyon, who is the environmentalist who's prepared the feasibility study, and he knows it well. He says it's a perfect example. Even though it's much smaller, it's only like 10 acres, and we're 35 acres, but it has the same elements, and the opportunity to take in and bring those people that really know how to fix the project, how to fix the water quality is extraordinary. So we look forward to having you join us, and if you have any comments, I can sort of take them.
The Oregon City Business Alliance and the Rivers of Life are co-sponsoring this, and we really encourage all 5 commissioners, if at all possible. It'd be nice to have the our additional 2 urban renewal commissioners, of course, our city manager and community development director are all certainly invited. And if you think of someone else that you'd like to have come along, please get in touch with you, probably.
Actually, on the little brochure, it has a phone number, which is Jerry Herman, and it's an RSVP. And those of you that would like to join us, there will be lunch provided, and we'll hit the projects, and we can talk about them as we move through that.
Is there a limit to the number of people?
Not really. Jerry, your band.
We have one van for 15, but if we need a second one, we'll get a second van.
Okay. Would it be inappropriate for the Planning Commission to go to something like this? So then I would suggest that you invite the Planning Commissioners as well.
Yeah, good idea. Okay, we can do that.
Questions, anybody?
No.
All right.
Great.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it.
Indeed, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, did something get moved off the agenda? Mr. Stone out there is looking a bit confused. Is there? Oh, okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure. I got a note from one of my commissioners saying, so I thought I'd ask.
Nothing else going on a Wednesday night.
Is there any other citizen who wishes to speak? Seeing none, I'll move on to the adoption of the agenda. Is everybody okay with the agenda? Then we have no public hearings, so we'll move on to general business 17-048. First reading of ordinance 17-1001, removing Lynn Avenue from the 2016 Sewer Public Facility Strategy. Mr. Lewis, Mr. John Lewis.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. So many of you know this problem and know it well. It's been around for a long time. We're bringing back to you a decision that is a good. It's a decision that's a good thing has occurred. So we've been moving through this this moratorium of construction in Oregon City for about 2.5 years now. And there's been a series of projects that were recommended for completion, and we've completed all but one of those. And we just completed the Lynn Avenue project, albeit we still have some paving work to do along that boulevard, but the project itself is online and moving the wastewater the way it should be and was designed to be. So we have one project left, but in order to lift the moratorium officially for those areas so that development can occur, we have to go through this ordinance process. So tonight's the first reading of the ordinance. We'll bring it back to you in the next meeting for the second reading of the ordinance. And it's really taking our public facility strategy that you adopted several months ago and updating that to limit the moratorium projects to just the one project on Hazelwood. And I would say that Just keep in mind that these moratorium projects were all based on limited capacity in our drainage system and our sanitary sewer drainage system. And so each one of these projects has been focused on increasing the capacity. When these projects are done, the revenue that we get from our wastewater customers will be spent on reducing flows, not just building additional capacity, but reducing the flows upstream in those basins. So look forward to more information on that. I'll be reporting more about that at the goal setting this weekend. But for this, we're asking you to adopt ordinance number 17-1001 to continue a public facility strategy for the Hazelwood Drive sewer system and removing the Lynn Avenue public facility strategy.
Question, anybody? Then I'd entertain a motion.
Move to approve ordinance number 17-1001.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Shaw, seconded by Commissioner Mengerberg. Is there any additional discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mayor,
sorry. First reading. Mr. Geisman, I apologize.
Ordinance number 17-1001, an ordinance of the City of Oregon City removing Lynn Avenue from the 2016 Public Facilities Strategy.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Ide?
Aye.
Commissioner Shaw?
Aye.
Commissioner O'Donnell?
Aye.
Commissioner Mengelberg?
Aye.
Mayor Holliday?
Aye. Does anyone have a desire to pull anything from the consent agenda?
Nope.
Then I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Mengelberg, seconded by Commissioner Shaw. Further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Ide?
Aye.
Commissioner Shaw?
Aye.
Commissioner O'Donnell?
Aye.
Commissioner Mengelberg?
Aye.
Mayor Holliday?
Aye. Aye. Push the button, dude. Okay, so we're on to communications. This is always kind of a dangerous space. So, Mr. Conkle.
No less so tonight. Thank you, Mayor. Evening, Commissioners. We'll start off with an update.
Thanks, Mayor Axelrod.
From City Attorney Mr. Gbeisman, an update. We had a discussion about serial meetings and some recent case law on that. So we'll provide an update and be able to answer any questions you may have.
Okay.
So thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. The Oregon Supreme Court late last year issued their decision in the Handy case that came out of Lane County. If you want, I can go back into the facts of it, but it's convoluted and involves a variety of different things. But what happened in that case, the Court of Appeal, the Circuit Court said there wasn't a meeting. You had a county administrator meeting with 2 members of a 5-member board, and then or 2 members meeting together, and the county administrator meeting with a 3rd person. And the idea was that was a serial meeting, and the Circuit Court said no, they've all got to be present in the same room to be a meeting. Court of Appeal said, nope, you can have serial meetings. You can have a meeting by communicating with other people. Lane County appealed that to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court gave some guidance, but also muddied the water somewhat as well.
Of course they did.
Yeah. So it's the key takeaways, I think, are first, Supreme Court assumed but did not decide that you can have a serial meeting, that you don't all have to be present. So that is.
I want to be clear about this, that a serial meeting could occur, not that it's okay to have one.
Yes, you're right. That
okay.
You could have what the statutes define as a public meeting without the quorum being present in the same room. So that issue is still live out there. What we have is a Court of Appeal saying, yes, you can. Supreme Court saying, we assume it, but we haven't decided it yet. So that may still be an issue that comes back later. But for now, the most authoritative law that we have is a Court of Appeal saying that that is a serial meeting.
Just to be clear, if it is a serial meeting, are we in violation by doing that? Or
yes.
Okay.
If you were to have a serial meeting, not provide public notice, and not take the other steps that are required, such things as minutes and other things, you'd have a violation. So you're allowed to have a meeting. You can even have a serial meeting. It's how do you notice it? How do you make the public available to the public? How do you do these other things that are required of all public meetings? The second thing that actually was helpful was that the Court of Appeals said that the two commissioners who met and talked about the issue, and then when the county administrator carried that to the third commissioner, they said that constituted a meeting. And the Supreme Court disagreed with that and essentially said that passive receipt of information is not deciding or deliberating towards a decision. So, remember the three of you can get together and talk about things that don't have anything to do with the city. The question, it becomes a meeting when you decide or deliberate towards a decision, and that's the key piece of it. And in the Lane County case, the court said that the plaintiff must show something more than the commissioner's passive receipt of the county administrator's email to establish that that commissioner participated in the deliberation. So you can exchange, the city manager can give you information. You can even possibly receive information from other members of the commission. It's the response, it's the discussion. And, we want to be careful about receiving information because somebody's sending it too. And so if, one of you sends something to two or three others, how far down the road does that get you towards deliberating? And that's still the gray area. But at least you know that if all you do is receive information, you're not participating in the meeting. So we can do that. So that's the best clarifying thing that the Supreme Court did. There's more coming because the Supreme Court remanded to the Court of Appeals because one of the things that when they said this is a meeting, they said we don't need any more information. They said the Court of Appeals now has to decide, since it's not a meeting, does the plaintiff get to have discovery? Essentially, they said, here's the facts that we have. We think it's a meeting. Court of Appeals agreed. Supreme Court says no, that's not a meeting. The plaintiff essentially says, well, we don't know how much that commissioner participated because we haven't deposed them. We don't have the emails. We don't have all these other things. And so there may well be additional decision about how much discovery can happen. And that may be of very important interest to you. So pay attention. There's probably going to be another decision in this in a little bit. In addition, there's another Supreme Court case pending out there involving TriMet and a union negotiation, and it's going to get to what constitutes a meeting as well. And so it's a little separate issue and one we may not have, but it's another case that'll be coming down as we get bits and pieces of this issue resolved.
Questions, anybody?
Comment.
Mr. O, push your button.
I did requested to speak.
Oh, it didn't come up. All right. Commissioner O'Donnell.
So given the wonderfully clear direction by both the courts and our legal community,
get used to it.
We want to err on the side of caution, certainly. Secondly, I want to make sure I understand this, is the simple conveyance of information in chain form, one to another, without a deliberation of, well, here's how I'm going to vote, or here's what I think. Does that potentially constitute a serial meeting?
In chain form, possibly. What we know was that the county administrator giving information to the third member is considered passive receipt. If Commissioner Mengelberg sends you some information, there may well be some deliberative intent and send you this information as opposed to some different information. And if you send that information you got from Commissioner Mengelberg with some different information that may conflict to Mayor Holliday and Commissioner Mengelberg, then you're starting to get towards deliberation.
Yeah, understood.
So, I'm not going to be able to get you a clear answer to it, but if Tony sends you something, you're okay.
So, generally speaking, what I would suggest is that, and I rarely communicate with you guys on anything that is actually an issue. It's mostly about scheduling or something like that, that we allow the manager to give us information he thinks he needs for us to have, and if we need to talk about it, that we reserve talking about that to something that is a scheduled work session or a scheduled commission meeting. The only place I would suggest that we all get together in a quorum situation is something very public, such as the Chamber's annual event or the OCBA forums or things like that, where it's very clear to everyone that we aren't having a discussion about that. Our evenings after the, if we go out after a meeting, typically we have someone from staff there, whether it's the attorney or somebody else, that can at least verify that we are just socializing and not deliberating towards a decision, if that makes anything clear for anybody.
And I think that's the good approach. There are arguments that can push it further. The question is whether the city wants to be the test case and go through the litigation and possible damages if we're wrong.
I think we don't want to be the test case.
I would advise that as well.
Okay. Anything else?
Update from Mr. Lewis.
Okay.
So I wanted to talk about a certificate that we just got from the Oregon Health Authority, and it's an outstanding performance award or certificate with regard to our drinking water program. And so I just wanted to share that with you. It's we go through a survey. In the past, we've gone every 3 years. So now, because of this certification, we go to every 5 years. That matters. When we have to go through the certification, we actually have to pay to have them come and do the certification for us at the tune of about $4,500. So there's a savings there. But I think the more important piece is that this is a good representation of another group who's performed well, which is our water division. So the state comes and sends a gentleman by the name of Pete Farley, who's been doing it for us for several years, and he evaluates our maintenance practices, our program, all of our facilities, security of our facilities, and out of that he makes a ruling. The first time we've ever got this high level of certification. So the criteria for it is, aside from all those best management practices, is that we have no maximum contaminant level or action level or treatment technique violations in the last 5 years. So we've not had anything like that. We've actually not had any of these in many more years than 5, but their criteria is 5 years. No more than one monitoring and reporting violation in the last 3 years. If there is a violation, it would have to have been resolved. No significant deficiency or rule violations identified during the water system survey, and has not had a waterborne disease outbreak attributable to water system in the last 5 years. So those are probably the most important things to the citizenry, but I think the outstanding performance piece has got a lot to do with what our folks are doing beyond water quality.
So have we ever had a waterborne illness outbreak in Oregon City's modern times? Like, say, since 50?
I can't answer that. I can get back to you, try and find out about that, but I don't know of one.
Because I can't recall.
Waterborne illness, if I was a betting man, I'd say no, but I'll get an answer for you.
And do they go out to South Fork when they do this too?
They do.
Okay.
They do.
Anybody else?
I guess that's what I was wondering about. Is there is South Fork involved with this, or are they their own selves, or is South Fork involved with this?
This is specific
project?
to water distribution.
Okay, gotcha.
But we're related through our water quality permit with South Fork.
Okay.
The next one, we've already heard a fair amount about this, so I really wanted to talk a little bit about the weather response plan. So I appreciate hearing the kudos for that. The challenge that we have, as the region has, is that it's a tough target to hit sometimes.
Just ask the weather people.
Community has different expectations about what's the right amount of service. I would agree with you that throughout the region, Oregon City did a really good job. We also didn't get hit as hard as some of the other parts of the region, and we're unique in that we've got kind of our side of the river. So I do think that matters a little bit, having driven through Portland and Tualatin and some of those other areas that we're fortunate that way. But really, to me, it's acknowledgement that we do have dedicated staff that are around the clock. We've got a team that Martin has really kind of orchestrated, I think, in a very positive way. Martin Montalvo, but the whole street department and really all the different crews participate. And then as we transition, I don't get real excited about rain, but this rain today was, heavenly. We were happy to see it, and it was a long time in coming. And I know there's folks that would like to see us into those neighborhoods a little more. And just resource level, it's a challenge for us to get there. I think we went beyond what we normally do. Normally we focus on our arterials only and our steeper streets. This time, the crew on their own made a smart decision to go a little further than that. And they took, I think it was a Friday, where they really made a big difference, where the snow was amenable to being plowed, and we were able to get those streets, important streets, cleared, so that as the sun came out and things started to melt off, they were much better shape than, I agree, a lot of other locations. So it's good hearing that, just acknowledging that it's a tough target for us to hit. We've seen across the region, just different folks having different impressions about what their public government should do for them when it comes to snow and ice. And I guess the other thing I'll mention is we do use magnesium chloride, or what we call de-icer. We're not considering salt, not for any reason other than it's not really available in the region. Even de-icer is, with this event, has taxed most of the resource availability. So we're seeking out options for refilling our de-icer. Salt, whole new equipment, different kinds of equipment, a lot harder on equipment. And until the region kind of moves to that, we're not considering using salt. So
we'd have a trouble store. You'd have to store it somewhere too.
Storage.
You're talking about
equipment,
mountains of
distributions,
salt,
and-
right? I mean,
Well, and the humidity of what you're storing,
Right.
and there's lots of things associated with that product that I think it's good to see the state's looking at it, but it's going to take a while before if it even trickles down to the local level. We're pretty well set up with the de-icer and the mag chloride, and of course plows and sanders. I think we're well equipped. So again, I appreciate the commission, because a lot of that equipment you folks have authorized. So thank you for that as well. But just wanted to put a shout out mostly to the crew who put a lot of effort into trying to get it right. I would also acknowledge that the December event was a different event. It was weird how those two events, and it's been really odd to me how the storms have come in kind of streaks, if you will. So Canby got hit with 3 to 4 inches of snow, and we got hardly none during the New Year's kind of time frame. And then that prior event in December was quick and came and turned to ice really quick, and so we struggled with that one. The secondary event lasted longer, but we seemed to get a better jump on it, and so just wanted to acknowledge that.
well, I just want to say again, having been, in fact, I was driving taxi in 2008 on the weekends, and I drove 1,600 or 1,800 miles during 2 weekends of that storm event. And the city of Oregon City was horrible. I mean, again, it's like they never touched Molalla Avenue or some of those places during that entire storm event. So I want to make sure that the folks out there understand what a difference the planning and execution of especially the road department was this time around versus 8 years ago. Anybody else?
Last update, we have our City Commission goal-setting retreat this weekend, starting on Friday, 4 o'clock. It'll probably go to about 9. And then Saturday, 8 o'clock, we have it scheduled through 5. It'll be at the Museum of the Oregon Territory. One change in the information that you received, our facilitator, unfortunately, had an accident over the weekend. So Rhonda Hillier, our facilitator, won't be able to attend, but she does have an associate, Nancy Ahern, who is going to come down in her place to help us out facilitating that event. So with that, I don't have any other updates.
So I want to mention about the retreat. The public is welcome to attend, but there will not be any public comment at this event, so you're welcome to come and listen, but we do not interact with the public during this event. This is our one chance a year to really have open dialogue between ourselves and staff and really be able to have that kind of give and take. So the public's welcome, but there will be no interaction unless folks have been specifically invited to speak to a particular subject. Is that it?
That's all I have tonight.
Okay. Commissioners? Commissioner Mangelberg.
Let's see, I attended the Alternative Mobility Standards meeting where they talked about ways to improve the intersection of Beaver Creek Road and Highway 213. They laid out 9 different options for the committee to consider, and I believe the committee took 5 off the table and is continuing to move forward with 4. Is that correct, John?
That's correct.
So we'll be meeting again, I think, next week or sometime very soon to continue the discussion. And the task force will be finishing their work probably this spring sometime, making recommendations about what the best solution is to ongoing traffic and congestion concerns at that intersection. And then I also did attend a low-income fares task force because I'm on IMPAC, and it's a region-wide discussion about how you provide lower-cost bus fares to low-income people. We had a great presentation by the Seattle Transit Authority. They're able to underwrite transit passes at $1.50 where everybody else is paying $5, and it really makes a difference for folks getting to work and getting around. And so they're trying to look at how that could potentially work in the Portland region, and they've met twice now. They're meeting again next week, and TriMet is leading the charge. So it's very interesting discussion. A lot to think about. So that's it.
Commissioner Ide?
Everybody stay healthy. Just 2 things. I attended an elected officials training sponsored by the League of Oregon Cities, which was excellent. There were between 30 and 40, mostly newly elected officials added in Happy Valley. So I just appreciated them offering that to us all. And secondly, I attended the Downtown Oregon City Association meeting a couple weeks ago, and 2 highlights, I guess. One of them is the Willamette Falls Legacy Project Kelly Reed gave an excellent, concise presentation on the Riverwalk. And I mean, I've seen a lot of presentations over the years on the Riverwalk, but I learned more from this little tiny concise presentation. She did an excellent job, and I was happy to hear they're planning to take that same presentation around various places. So it was great. And there was a question and answer period as well. And secondly, the Downtown Oregon City Association has hired a municipal elevator and visitor services manager, and it looks like she's here tonight. Did you want to introduce her, or were you going to do that at a later time? Or
So I'm Jonathan Stone, the director of the Downtown Association. I was debating in person versus coming back later when we have, she's only been here 2 days, so I was like,
do both.
Sure, we'll come back later because we'll have a lot more to talk about. But anyways, so Carrie joins us she has an interpretive background, working for the second oldest.
It was the second permanent colonial settlement in North America. In Riken. So it's 1611. So it's just right after Jamestown, which is 1607.
So a lot of experience with interpretation and programming, but also a background in also at the same time worked for the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts in a security capacity. So kind of understands sort of both ends of the facility, the daily operation needs for the elevator, and so we're super excited to have her on. It just so happens that we posted the job at the same time she was moving out here to join other family members, and so we snagged her kind of basically in transit. So
It worked out really well, actually, for everyone
So.
involved.
Great. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Pop
Honored
We're
quiz.
to be-
very excited, yeah.
Pop quiz. How many firsts does Oregon City have?
I don't even know the answer to that.
I can think of at least 2 or 3.
Okay. Well, you got some learning to do then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. Right.
Katie has a big, long list of them.
So,
Welcome.
Thank you. Welcome.
thank you.
All right. Thanks.
And Oregon City is hosting the Main Street Conference this October as well, the Oregon Main Street Conference. So we have a lot of work to do to get ready for that.
Commissioner Shaw.
Yeah, the only thing I made it to was the McLaughlin Neighborhood Association meeting, which was held at the library community room there, which was a great venue. I think they want to continue using that if it kind of works out. And Mo was there was a great host for that. Martin Montalva was there with his architects, and we got to look at drawings for the Public Works building, and I think it was a pretty good atmosphere for that. It's gradually, I think, coming together there, John.
So no tar and pitchforks?
No.
Okay.
No, it's
well,
pretty smooth.
That's progress.
Yeah. And the other thing I got was for those of you that weren't aware that the celebration of life for Terry Gant is tomorrow at 2 o'clock? 1 o'clock at the New Hope Church and stuff. Terry was a great asset for us, for the homeless community here in the city. So that's tomorrow. So, okay.
Okay.
Sure. Can you read it?
I just stopped. Just stopped working. Sorry, Commissioner.
That's O'Donnell.
Yeah, I know.
I'm helping you out.
Just left my head. Sorry.
I actually attended the same training session as Commissioner Ide. It was very valuable for new persons like myself. I want to thank everybody that took it upon themselves to shovel their walk and make Oregon City a safer place. I know there are very few of you, but it's appreciated for those that did. It's as opposed to Plan B, which is we'll wait till it gets warmer. So good for you. I want to say that I took a moment today and I attended municipal court unannounced and not as a defendant, I might add. And I want to compliment our judge, Lorraine McNeese, as a compassionate individual. And I can say that regardless of the outcome, you can be sure that you are heard when you're there. I do have some facilities questions, but we'll take that up outside of here. And I'll leave that at that. And finally, I'd like to compliment someone, Chris Wadsworth, who has done an excellent job on social media. And when I was running for office, I felt like we as a city could do better to make our citizens aware of what was going on and get their input and do a two-way communication. And I know that's difficult, and it's something we're going to talk about at our retreat. But she's done a wonderful job on websites like Chit Chat or Nextdoor. And I've taken upon myself to meet with the moderator of one of those websites to discuss the challenges of running those websites because there are many. But I'd like to see us, it's an electronic age, and those communications are so easy and so valuable, but they need to be two-way. So those are the things I'm doing. Thank you.
Sure. Well, fortunately or unfortunately, Tuesday afternoon, the day the snow started, the transmission in the Beast went out. So I was pretty much snowbound for the last week or so. I did manage to get out to Canby a couple times, but every event that I had scheduled was canceled or rescheduled during those times. Unfortunately, the Downtown Oregon City Association's visioning project was canceled last night, and it's been rescheduled for Wednesday the 25th. Unfortunately, 3 of us will be at South Fork that night, so hopefully 1 or 2 of the other commissioners will be able to attend that. Beyond that, there really hasn't been much going on. It's the new year, and unless there's something else for the good of the order, then we're adjourned.